yeah, I think Coach McDaniel's done a hell of a job, and guys love him, and he's the same guy every day, and that's, I can say it a million times.
What's so lame about Pierce, in my opinion, is the fact that you have to hire so many other people to help him do his job. Like, you can't expect him to just be your head coach. Like, oh, well, if you got Pierce, you're also going to need elite coordinators. You're going to need elite advisors because he's never done it before. You need this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this just for this guy to be the head coach. You got to hire all these other guys to help him be the head coach. And it's because he's not qualified. And honestly, it's a complete slap in the face, in my opinion, to at all compare him to Rich Bisaccia. And look, I know that inspiring the guys is a big thing, and you got people playing with heart, and the players say that they want him and that they want him to be the coach. By the way, the players say that about every freaking coach. They do. They said it about Josh McDaniels. All the way up to the day that Josh McDaniels was fired, you had players saying that they love Josh McDaniels. You had Davante Adams always complimenting McDaniels and saying there's no problem with him or Dave Ziegler. And in case you forgot, we already have this clip of Davante Adams talking about his relationship with Ziegler and McDaniels and how they give him so much insight and so much say in the organization.
But he'll be involved in the process, and we'll bounce some ideas off him. And
as far as the front office, I mean, I haven't had a relationship in the past. It's 10 years for me in this game, and I haven't had a relationship like what I have with those guys. So
his relationship with Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels is just so close. It's deeper than anyone he's ever had in the past 10 years. And this is what Davante was saying 7 months ago. And obviously things are not going well because we have since seen him slam his helmet. We've seen him celebrate McDaniels being fired, and now McDaniels has been fired because of his relationship with players. So clearly all of this stuff about, I had a great relationship with McDaniels and all that. All that is BS. And this is not a shot at Davante Adams. Like, these players, just like these coaches, are put in a tough position where, like, what are they going to say? Obviously, they're not going to say, oh, McDaniel sucks. Davante was recently asked at the presser, do you want Pierce to be your head coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously who I wanted. That's my vote, and I've been vocal about that, and that's that's basically how the whole locker room feels, and with good reason. I mean, he's come in and done a great job, and
obviously he's going to say, yeah, I think he's the good guy for the job. Like, he's not going to ever say what, even if he thought this, I'm not saying he thought this, but he could never go out there and be like, well, he's not that qualified. Well, he needs some more experience. Maybe we need a guy with more experience. Like, he's not going to say that. And just like when he was asked about Josh McDaniels, he's not going to say that McDaniels actually sucks. I wish I can go somewhere else. Like, you're hired by an organization. You've got to be a cheerleader for the organization. Obviously want to have good vibes with and say positive things about people who are currently in the building, because you're currently working with them, and who knows if they get the job. So when Davante Adams is then asked questions and says he wants Pierce for the job and the whole locker room wants him, like, I believe that's probably somewhat the case, because that would mean some stability. Like, it's less of a chance of a complete rebuild, but obviously the offense has to be sort of rebuilt. Like, the only good thing on the offense is the wide receivers and some O-linemen, kind of, and the running back. So when talking about Antonio Pierce and his situation, and I think that's what I find so frustrating, is people really overhyping this guy because of the Chiefs and the Chargers wins. And look, I watched those games multiple times. I want to believe that this dude just freaking outcoached Andy Reid. I want to believe that Pierce freaking went out there and just freaking outsmarted Andy Reid. But that didn't happen. It was a botched handoff from Mahomes to Pacheco. It was a boneheaded pick six by Mahomes. Mahomes lost that game and choked on Christmas. And I think the defense played lights out, had a lot of good passion. The offense was still horrible the entire game. And you could say Pierce doesn't run the offense. Well, Pierce doesn't really run the defense either. Patrick Graham runs the defense. Pierce doesn't do that. He's just the passion guy. Is that really what the Raiders need? Is their head coach is just this like passion guy? I mean, there's a lot of hype men you could hire out there. And I think when it comes down to competing with Andy Reid, competing with Sean Payton, if Bill Belichick or Jim Harbaugh joins the Chargers, like, do the Raiders really want to be the team that's stuck with the head coach who's never done it at a high level before? Like, is that really where you want to be as a fan base? I think some fans are just really happy because they had a nice Christmas. I was happy. I had a great time drinking eggnog, watching the Chiefs lose. But I think when you're looking for the future of the organization, I think you can't be sentimental. I think you can't be emotional. I think you can't be a child about it. And you have to understand the facts of the situation. Like, this is a business. Some people are qualified for the jobs and some people are not. And Pierce, does he get credit for the defense? I think that's unfair to Patrick Graham. to say that Pierce gets credit for the defense. And if you're going to give him credit for the defense, well, then you got to blame him for that shitty offense if you're going to do that. And then at the same time, comparing Pierce to Rich Bisaccia is bullshit. Rich Bisaccia took the team to the playoffs, and Rich Bisaccia has a crap load more NFL coaching experience than Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce's first job is Josh McDaniels. I mean, you really can't compare him to Pierce. He actually took the team to the playoffs, and prior to being the Raiders' interim head coach in 2021, he had already been coaching at the NFL level since he was with Jon Gruden in 2002. So he'd been coaching at the NFL level as a special teams coordinator and assistant head coach 2 decades, almost 2 decades before becoming the interim head coach. Now, Pierce, on the other hand, the only time this dude's ever gotten an NFL job is because of Josh McDaniels. So they try to put this story out there that Pierce had this falling out with McDaniels, and McDaniels said, "Oh, don't ever talk about the Patriots like that," when Pierce used the Giants Super Bowl win over the Patriots. I mean, to me, that honestly, I've always been skeptical of the story. It sounds like a BS PR story to distance this guy from Josh McDaniels, because he is a Josh McDaniels guy. Antonio Pierce is 100% a Josh McDaniels guy. Had he not got the interim head coaching job, probably would have wanted Josh McDaniels to stay, because that means that he would have stayed as the linebacker coach. The only time he ever got an NFL job was 2022 with the Raiders as a linebacking coach. And then now this year, linebacking coach / interim head coach. Never had any NFL coaching at all. Nobody hired him. Only Josh McDaniels. I'm not even into the Harbaugh thing. Like I told you guys, I'm not into the Harbaugh thing. But clearly, I mean, Harbaugh would be much more qualified than Antonio Pierce. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that's for sure. Now, let me go back to another reason why I'm worried about Antonio Pierce's inexperience. On December 10th, this came out. So he has multiple former head coaches helping him prepare for the Vikings. And he's had Marvin Lewis, former Bengals coach, help him out. He's also had Adam Gase. These guys are getting paid and they're traveling. Gase is traveling. Marvin Lewis is traveling. Tom Coughlin, who he worked with the Giants, is also traveling and helping out. These are more people that you have to hire if you hire Antonio Pierce just to help this guy out, just to help him figure out exactly how to be, a head coach, which I think is a little much. I mean, you really want to deal with a guy who has this many training wheels? Like, can't you just get a guy who could do the job right now? Not a guy who just needs so much help. That's a huge gamble. It's a huge gamble, man. And I think the players, if you get a coach who's good, I think they'd be just fine. I don't think their heart's going to be broken if they don't have Antonio Pierce. I mean, I think they're saying that now, but they said the same thing about Josh McDaniels. We love Josh McDaniels. I mean, you even had Derek Carr say multiple times that he loves Josh McDaniels. Oh, here's Max Crosby. Here's Max Crosby in January.
I think Coach McDaniels has done an awesome job. Obviously, like you said, you can read all the headlines and the negativity and things like that.
You just can't believe it either way. You can't believe it positively. You can't believe it negatively. I'm not saying they don't love Antonio Pierce. I'm just saying they say this stuff about everybody. They do say this stuff about everybody, Crosby, Davante Adams included.